is life, and it is on the basis of this that every single human on the planet look for food for survival. Because food is the foundation of our growth and healthy living, yet it is affected by series of avoidable dangers from every angle. We can strengthen our food systems and change the narrative through a new approach to improved food availability and healthy diet.
Welcome to Urban Family Farming,
where we explore the exciting world of urban farming. Learn how to transform your living space into a green oasis with our expert tips and tricks. Join us on a journey towards sustainable living and discover the joy of growing your own food in the heart of the city.
Okay, so one of the ways to know the quality of a soil is that you're supposed to take what we call soil sample. Normally, most often times in Africa, we don't really pay attention to some of these details. But you see, if what you want to do is for the long run, if you are in the business for the long run, there are fundamental things that you need to get done before you start producing. So you want to make sure that before you start, if it's your personal property, if it's your farm and you're in it for the long run, what you want to do is that you want to go and get the soil analysis done. The advantage of the soil analysis is that it tells you what is in the soil before you start planting. Your soil analysis can actually advise you on what kind of crop you need to grow in the kind of soil that you actually have. It's like somebody who is sick and the person goes to a doctor, and then the doctor, or he goes to a pharmacy, and then the pharmacist just gave him certain drugs. They say, go and take these drugs and you'll be fine. You see, there's definitely one reason why that pharmacist is going to do that. Maybe the person tells the pharmacy the symptoms of what the person is feeling. He say, okay, I'm feeling headache, I'm feeling all of that. And then from the symptoms, the pharmacist can decide to say, okay, these are the drugs that you need to go and take. But you see, in proper practice, even when those drugs are given, you are always advised to go and run a test. The essence of the test is so that you can be able to know exactly what you are dealing with. That's exactly what soil analysis does. So before you start cropping, if you have the means, if you have access to any of these soil labs, take a soil sample, take it to the lab, and let them run fertility tests on the soil so that they can tell you the quantity of nutrients in the soil. So maybe if it is nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, you want to check, for example, in the soil analysis, they can actually tell you the exact quantity of nitrogen in the soil, the exact quantity of phosphorus in the soil, the exact quantity of the K in the soil. So at the end of it, or when you go back to your farm and you start farming whatever it is that you're farming, you just know exactly the quantity of fertilizer you need to, if it is nitrogen and it's 10%, and you need 20% nitrogen, that means you need to add just 10% nitrogen. So the essence of the soil analysis is to give you the exact nutrient, the water retention capacity of the soil, and every other statistics or characteristics of the soil that you need before you start planting your soil. This is the scientific way of knowing your soil. But there's the physical analysis, just like I said, that you go to a hospital, the doctor can look at your eyes and say, oh, your eyes is yellow, you have fever, oh, you're running temperature. There is the physical analysis. And one of the physical analysis is the one that we naturally use when we go to a farm. When we go to a farm and we see a soil that is this color, a soil that is this black, we generally just assume that the soil is a good soil. But it's not every dark soil that is actually a good soil. But most dark soil are actually good soils. I say that again, that it is not always that all dark soils are good soils, but most dark soils are actually good soils. So what you want to do is that when you get to the farm, or when you collect your topsoil, when you buy your topsoil, before you buy your topsoil, look at the soil. As you get the soil, if it is dark, assumably, because most dark soils are good soils, then it means that, the first test, which is the site test, it means that we can say that it is good soil. The other thing you want to do is that you want to use water Okay? I've done this several times and it has always worked out for me. Okay? So I get water, a known volume or a known quantity of water, and then I pour it into the soil. I get a container like this, pour the water into the soil. Now I have 3 samples of soil here with me. All right? And in these 3 different samples of soil, I apply water at a known time, T. Okay? And then I allow the water to drain after like one minute. For example, 1 or 2 minutes. In standard practice, I use 2 minutes. Okay? After 2 minutes, I'll pick the same soil and look at it. Now look at this one. After about 40 seconds, you can see that the water has not started coming out under the can yet. But I mean, look at this one. This one has already drained water already completely, which means this one has more drainage capacity than this one. All right? Now look at the third one. The third one, the water has not even gone halfway into the soil. You see that? So what differentiates these 3 samples of soil is their water retention capacity. If you put the water after the same known time T, you now watch how the water drains at that time T. The one that drains easily means that that soil has good water draining capacity. In some cases like this one, the water is draining gradually into the soil. Don't forget it is at a known quantity of water. But the reason why this one is draining slowly is because this one has more capacity to absorb water more than any of this other soil. So this is now another practical way of knowing the kind of soil that is on your farm. Number one, you can use physical site analysis. You can look at the soil and tell from the color of the soil to say that the soil is a good soil. Number 2, you can use this water application principle to determine the water retention of that particular soil. And number 3 is the one that we do in nursery class, is stickability. You remember when you are taught sandy soil, loamy soil, and clay soil. We say that the one that sticks more, right? The one that sticks more is the what? Is the clay soil, okay? Because it has high stickability, so we say it's clay soil. And then if you pick this one now, this one is sandy. You can see it's highly brittle in the hand, which means that this one will not retain water and it will not retain it will not retain nutrients that much. So if you do like this, now look at that. You can see that the entire soil is already gone. This one has high possibility of losing nutrients, high possibility of losing moisture, which means if you plant on this one, in less than 30 minutes, your plant will not have water to take anymore. And that means also the nutrients would have been drained out. But now look at this one. Okay? This one is sticky like clay, all right? But if you still look at the water, the draining of the water, it's still halfway, which means that the water retention here is higher. And that also means that when you plant here, your plant will have longer time to absorb water, which means the water will be readily available over that known time T that the plant will actually need it. So do this analysis to know the texture of your soil, do this analysis to know the water retention capacity of your soil, and then do this to also know the fertility of the soil. These are just basic physical analysis that you can be able to do to know the soil that is in that particular area where you want to grow your crop. So you see me in the next video.